call. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Welcome aboard on this Let It Ride Thursday. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. The Drive with TKras, Tom Krasnicki, presented by Moss Nissan, is on the air. Great to have you with us on this cold, blustery Thursday across Tampa Bay. That's why you should be warm, inside, cuddly with your cat, and listening to us right here on WDAE. Or if you're a dog person, that works too. We are live in living color, 95.3 on the FM side, the mighty AM 620. And don't forget to download the iHeartRadio app, absolutely free. Crystal clear reception through the app. It's the new and improved iHeartRadio app. So they have a scan button, they have presets, and on your presets, you can favorite your radio stations that you like to listen to or your favorite podcasts. So, favorite WDAE, put that on your preset. Put The Drive, commercial-free podcast of this show, can be accessed through the new and improved iHeartRadio app. It's a beautiful thing. You can listen to us from anywhere in the civilized world through the app. And good afternoon to all of you who are watching us on the stream, YouTube, Facebook, and X at 953 WDAE and AM 620.
It's exciting!
It is exciting, Coach. The phone numbers, you know them, you love them. Now use them. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. Begin your text with DAE, followed by your hideous comments in 140 characters or less. And all guests will appear, don't you know, on the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DAE hotline. We got a big show. Another 4 hours. We're going to light this baby on fire. Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, will join us in an hour from now. Noted old-time wrestling enthusiast, NBC Sunday Night Football. So he's got a lot on his plate, and we're going to get with him on Championship Sunday. We're also going to get with him about Liam Cohen deciding to stay with the Buccaneers and not go to Jacksonville. A lot of interesting coaching news from around the NFL. Aaron Glenn landing with the Jets. Mike McCarthy interviewing now with the Saints. Really interesting stuff happening around the league. We'll get with Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, all things Bucs and NFL at 4 o'clock. And then we got Let It Ride at 5:30. I really like the player props for Sunday, and I'm going to be on the Hard Rock Bet app, and I'm going to have parlays going, Chris Mathis, and we're going to discuss not just the two games, but some of these player props that I'm absolutely going to dive into head first.
Yeah, no, several incredible and I should say intriguing lines there, too. One stood out to me regarding a kicker as well, and that was kind of my guaranteed pick of the week. I believe it was Jake Elliott, 1.5 field goals made.
Really?
I'm rocking with that one. But, yeah, several. And Saquon Barkley, obviously, another guy, too, that people are going to be paying attention to here this weekend.
His number is a big one. That's a big rushing yards prop for Saquon Barkley, and we'll discuss it a little bit later on Let It Ride. Are you going higher or lower? Certainly a lot to get into on that. Hard Rock Bet app, man, I'm going to be on it. I'll have some parlays going for both games on Sunday. I'm very excited. I always joke around about that, but I am excited. I'm excited too, Coach. I'm glad you were able to get Liam back. 888-546-4620. So a lot going on here on the show on this Thursday. Oh, there's so much happening with your Tampa Bay Buccaneers. A lot of news regarding Liam Cohen. The big news that broke yesterday. He shunned Jacksonville. But could there be another team out there that could make an 11th hour attempt to wrestle Liam Cohen away from your Tampa Bay Buccaneers? That is the theme of our opening drive here on a Thursday.
Start the engine. Gas to the floor. Here's the opening drive.
Say that again.
I'm about to, Jason Light. The opening drive presented by the award-winning Chattanooga Whiskey 91. Available at your favorite Tampa retail store. Drink Chattanooga whiskey, and as always, enjoy responsibly. When I spoke to a member of the Bucs yesterday, Once they made the decision, Liam Cohen, ownership stepped up in a big way, and you have to hand it to the Glazers. They're the kind of model owners that you need in the NFL to succeed. They don't meddle. They let the football guys make the football decisions. They let Todd Bowles coach. They let general manager Jason Light manage. And they stay out of the way. They let their football people make all those decisions. Obviously, for the big decisions like this one, yes, they are obviously briefed and updated on what's happening there. And this is a situation where they had to act fast. And you got to give the Glazers a lot of credit because they saw a valuable asset in Liam Cohen. And they said, look, we can't lose this guy. I'm sure Jason Light consulted with them. Todd Bowles consulted with them. And look, Todd Bowles and Jason Light, they have regular meetings with owners. And they said, look, this is a guy that we need to keep in our building. This is a guy that led a top 5 offense in just about every statistical category. And in my opinion, the best offense the Bucs have ever had because of their ability to run the ball as great as they were able to do it, as effective as they were, unlike the 2021 team that was like 26 in the NFL in running the ball. They were toward the bottom of the league in that category. Great passing attack led by Tom Brady and company. You know, Gronk, a younger Mike, a younger Godwin, Antonio Brown, until he made a fool out of himself and got himself kicked off the team. But that passing attack was prolific. But this offense as a whole, in my opinion, was the best offense the Bucs have ever had because of their ability to throw it and run it. And look at the numbers. Top 5 in scoring, running, passing, third downs. And Baker Mayfield had an incredible year with 41 touchdown passes, top 3 in that, and passing yards and completion percentage. So give the Glazers a lot of credit for stepping forward. Now, there was some talk yesterday and going into this morning about Liam Cohen and this revised new contract for more money being paid, one of the top coordinators really in all of football at more than $4 million a year. Now, that contract is going to be signed if it hasn't been signed already. I have been in contact with the Bucs. By the way, we are efforting Liam Cohen to join us here on the program. I doubt it takes place today, but maybe tomorrow for a Football Friday. By the way, live from Moss Nissan in Newport Richie. We'll tell you about that a little bit later on. Very excited about tomorrow's show on a Football Friday. But we are efforting Liam Cohen, the Bucs offensive coordinator, to join us here on the show at some point over the next couple of days. Hopefully sooner rather than later. I will say this, and I saw a very interesting email from our friends over at sportsbetting.ag. And from time to time, they will put out various odds for this, that, and the other thing. So what I found interesting is that for the Jaguars' next head coaching candidate, Robert Saleh has emerged as the leader, followed by Patrick Graham, Joe Brady, and Kellen Moore. Those are the top 4, and I think the Jaguars are trying to talk to Joe Brady and Kellen Moore. Obviously, they're going to have to wait. They're kind of busy this weekend. Joe Brady, the offensive coordinator up in Buffalo. Kellen Moore, ditto with the Philadelphia Eagles. So they're going to have to wait until after their season is done and over with if they want one of those guys. But Robert Saleh, a guy with previous head coaching experience, now at the top of the Jaguars coaching search, and he is the betting favorite, according to our friends over at sportsbetting.ag, with Liam Cohen all the way down at the bottom of the pile. However, when you look at the Raiders and the odds of who's going to be their next coach, Pete Carroll is the favorite at minus 150, and then Todd Monken is next, followed by Liam Cohen. Liam Cohen has the third best odds of being the next Raiders coach, according to sportsbetting.ag, our friends there. You can bet on just about anything. You can bet on whether you think I will, finish the show today by 7 o'clock. I like my chances, but stranger things have happened. You get the idea. Don't get wise on a text platform. But here's where I'm going with this. The new general manager of the Las Vegas Raiders is John Spytek, the assistant GM here with the Buccaneers. And you know who's pulling the strings out in Sin City. It's our guy, Mr. Double Standard himself, Tom Brady.
So what's the question?
The question here, Tommy boy, is why are you trying to mess up the program here in Tampa Bay? You took our assistant GM and John Spytek, and now I believe, and there are rumblings to this effect, and I read an article this morning in The Athletic on things that John Spytek needs to do to make the Raiders a contender, and this thing was like a mile long because the Raiders need a lot. They need to be fixed in a big way. I mean, you're not talking about a quick fixer-upper. This is like, blowing up a structure and then rebuilding it really from scratch. That's what the Raiders are going to have to do. So John Spytek has a tough job in front of him, but he's a smart guy. He's been in this league for a long time. He's been with the Buccaneers for almost a decade, and he understands personnel. He understands today's NFL. He understands what it takes to win, and I wish him the very best of luck. He's going to need it with that job because you know who else is in that division. Kansas City. Great quarterback, great head coaches, Mahomes and Reed. Denver, tremendous coach, and a promising rookie quarterback who's only going to get better, Sean Payton and Bo Nix. And then you have Jim Harbaugh and the Chargers with Justin Herbert as his quarterback. So, yeah, the Raiders have a real tough hill to climb. It's not a hill. It's Mount McKinley that they've got to climb. So, there was a story fishing around The Athletic this morning that the Raiders could very well have a last-ditch effort to try and pry Liam Cohen away from the Buccaneers. Now, if Liam Cohen has signed his contract, then this is null and void. And I think it's null and void, honestly, regardless. I think Liam Cohen wants to stay here. He understands how good he has it here. He's getting a nice raise. And maybe there isn't a promise like in the clause or in the wording of his contract for him to be the next man in charge. But, there's probably unwritten rules or unwritten, sort of clauses or agreements. Wink, wink, nod, nod, handshake agreement. Who knows? You never know what the future might entail. But Liam Cohen being the next head coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sounds very realistic at some point. If not next year, maybe the year after. So he's in a great spot with great talent on offense, and I have no doubt and no worries that the success the Buccaneers had in 2024 on offense will continue because all of those main participants, all of your impact guys are back. Nobody's going anywhere. In fact, it could be even better if Chris Godwin decides to re-sign, which I think he will. And you saw what kind of year he was having before he got hurt in the Ravens game. So there's a chance that what you saw this year out of the Buccaneer offense, it might get better. Now, there is a theory out there, and I kind of subscribe to this as well. In the NFL, everybody adjusts, right? When you see something new, people will look to replicate it. Also, when you see something new, there are well-paid defensive guys in this league who will scheme against you. Now, there's enough tape out there of the Bucs and their run game concepts and everything else. So could there be a slight regression to the mean? I suppose it's possible. But if the Buccaneers execute, and they executed this offense at a high level, and it took several weeks, especially with the run game, but once they got that run game going, this offense went from down here to up here, if you're watching us on the stream live inside the Rude Air and Water Studios. By the way, I'm wearing my Nick cap because, it's cold outside, Paulie. It's a little nipply outside. But the run game took the Buccaneer offense from mid-tier, top 10 to top 5. And that's the effect the run game can have on an offense. That's the effect the run game can have on a quarterback like Baker Mayfield, who just had a career year. And I'll tell you, nobody's happier than that guy that Liam Cohen is back. So you'll probably see a story out there, an 11th hour attempt by Brady, by Spy Tech, to try and lure Liam Cohen. I just don't see that happening at all. And Tom Brady, message to you, hands off, okay? Hands off, pal. Continue doing your double standard duty. Double standard duty. Double duty. I like double standard duty better. Keep doing what you're doing. And look, I would continue to milk that cow until they tell me not to. I think it's a conflict of interest in what Brady's doing. But Tom Brady has always wanted to run a franchise. And now he's got it. Mark Davis might be the owner in front of him, and Brady's like the part owner or minority owner, if you will. But, you know, he's got a very loud voice in that building now for the Raiders, even though he owns whatever it is, 5 to 10% of the team. And I think he will continue to have a resonating voice in terms of what the Raiders do. And we've already seen the Tom Brady effect. They hired John Spytek, a former teammate of Tom Brady's from way back in the day. And obviously, they were reunited when the Buccaneers recruited Brady. And, of course, he signed here in 2020 the Operation Shoeless Joe Jackson initiative. But hands off Liam Cohen, okay, Tommy boy? And I know you love him. And every game that Brady did involving the Buccaneers, he was seen talking to Liam Cohen for a long period of time. Now, Liam Cohen has mentioned that he loved Tom Brady. He idolized Brady growing up in Massachusetts. He grew up a huge Patriots fan. And now you got Tom Brady admiring your work. So it's very easy to want to go to work for a guy like Tom Brady, especially since you idolize him all these years. And now you're established in your profession. Brady has taken notice. He likes what you're doing. And eventually he may call on you to go work for him. And I think that process might be happening now. But if I'm Liam Cohen, listen, man, I probably entertain. I'm going to talk to Brady. If Brady calls, you're going to talk to him. Why wouldn't you? That's your friend, your idol, your mentor, if you will. But again, if I were advising Liam Cohen, and Liam is a smart guy, he doesn't need Tom Krasnicki advising him on where his career is going and his profession. He doesn't need me to tell him that the Raiders' job is a dead-end job. Why in the world would you want any part of that? Even with Tom Brady being involved. Look at the roster. Yeah, there are a couple of players. Brock Bowers is tremendous, but there's no quarterback. They need O-line help. They need help at wide receiver. They need help on defense. You got Max Crosby, who is tremendous. They need a lot of help. Bowers and Crosby are two building blocks, and, you know, Crosby is an interesting case because he's going into a contract year this coming year in 2025, and the Raiders are going to have to make a decision on him, and he has said that he wants to sit down and talk with them. Now, if that guy ever becomes available via trade, then the Buccaneers should be all over it. And now they've got an in with John Spytek being their general manager. Now, that's a sidebar and a story that's been speculated on that we'll discuss at some point. Something to keep an eye on. But I think Max Crosby, once he sits down, he's got Brady now a part of the mix, and John Spytek, who's a real smart guy. The Raiders want to build around Max Crosby, not trade him. You trade that guy, then what do you have? You have nothing going on that side of the ball. Christian Wilkins, they signed him as a free agent, but, you know, he's got to stay healthy. You know, the thought of building around him is a lot better than, you know, you trading that guy and then you're starting from square one. So I just don't get that. Somebody just texts in Max Crosby to the Bucs. I don't think it's likely. Let's put it that way. It's not a pipe dream necessarily, but I would say it's unlikely at this point. Now, he could sit down with the Raiders and maybe there's a conversation and Max Crosby's like, well, we have no quarterback. Seeing the division that we're in, we're not close to winning, and Max Crosby has said he wants to win. Well, what better place to win than right here in Tampa Bay? You go from, one swashbuckling team to another. It's not like it hasn't happened before from the Raiders to the Bucs. John Gruden. I tell you what, man, when I got traded, you know what I mean? 2 1s, 2 2s, $8 million in cash. And it paid off. Bucs won the Super Bowl. It was absolutely worth it. And that was such a ballsy move at the time by the late, great Malcolm Glazer. And it paid off in a big way. A lot of people thought he was nuts. Like, what are you doing? You're training for a head coach? You're training for John Gruden? And it worked. It absolutely worked. And it was a brilliant move made by Mr. Glazer at the time. So if I were Liam Cohen, there's no way. I would say no way to Brady. Thanks for calling. I appreciate it, but I've got this new contract. I'm getting paid more money. I love the situation that I'm in. I love the division that I'm in. I'm not going over there into the lion's den of the AFC West. And look, I'm sure Liam Cohen loves a great challenge, but that's a challenge that you got to be realistic about, and you have to realize what your limitations are. I think his path to greatness for him and success is right where he is right now. Sometimes you may look for greener pastures. Sometimes the grass isn't greener on the other side. You might think that a change of scenery is something that you want, but, more often than not, everything that you're looking for in life is probably right here in front of you. And I think Liam Cohen understands that. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. A lot of your calls, a lot of your texts on this topic. A lot of you are calling in. I'm going to get to you guys in a matter of moments. Mike Florio, 4 o'clock. Let It Ride at 5:30 on Championship Sunday, and some player props to keep an eye on. I'll be on the Hard Rock Bet app. You know that is going to be a thing coming up this weekend with some parlays, baby. We're going to try and make some money for me as well as you guys as well. So we'll get your calls, Jim, Todd, Charlie, and everybody else in between. Also on the way back, Championship Sunday, 2 extraordinary matchups. And some really interesting words, some eye-opening remarks made by the Commanders to the Eagles. I don't know if this is bulletin board material or not. You be the judge. We'll let you hear the comments coming up next.
a number of these guys that we've had to prepare for. And so the one thing is if he's going to run the ball and if the coordinator makes a decision for him to run the ball, we're going to treat him like a running back. And we're going to hit him that way. So that's their decision if they want to get him hit the way that he gets hit. If they don't, they'll keep him in the pocket. So, but that's what we're going to do.
Uh-huh. That is Commanders defensive coordinator Joe Witt Jr., and he has a very interesting message to the Eagles right there. You want to run this zone read with Jalen Hurts, and then you better be prepared because we're going to hit him like a running back, and they should. You should hit him like a running back. It's football, and I agree with that philosophy. And that's going to be one of the telltale storylines going into that game on Sunday. Washington at Philadelphia in the NFC Championship game. And then, of course, the late one on Sunday night. I think the legacy of Josh Allen is on the line when his Bills take on Patrick Mahomes, the referees, and the Chiefs in Arrowhead at 6:30 in the AFC title game. Josh Allen is 0-3, lifetime in the playoffs against Mahomes and the Chiefs. So this has to be it for him. Josh Allen has to get over the hump, and it's not going to be easy. You got to go into Arrowhead not only to face one of the greats in Patrick Mahomes, the Chiefs, who are going for the three-peat, but the officiating. And look, I've never been a big conspiracy theorist. We'll talk to Mike Florio about this coming up at 4:05. But I can tell you this. I have never seen a team that got the benefit of the doubt on so many calls more so than the Kansas City Chiefs. Never. By the way, Chris Mathis, all these Bills fans, my God, they're coming out of the woodwork. I mean, like I know a lot of friends of mine that are Bills fans and like they're everywhere. I'm not saying like they're pestering me or like they're not Eagles fans. I'll just say that.
No, I don't think there's anybody that compares to the Eagle fans.
No.
I had to deal with them over the weekend at a restaurant in Orlando, and oh my God, man. They were doing the chant, obnoxious, and then as soon as the game got closer, they were worried. Complete silence. They were scared, and then all of a sudden, back to being who they are.
Yeah.
You'd keep your mouth shut if you knew it was good for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Kind of reminds me a little bit, Tom, of the Ravens back in, 2012-ish, when the Ravens just had a whole bunch of fans just come out of nowhere.
Look, the Eagles fans, they do like their team. They're passionate, but I think they take it to an extreme level to show their fandom. And that's never been good with me, ever. They're intolerable. And look, if there is an almighty presence above, I don't want to see them in a Super Bowl, to be quite honest with you. Like, I'll be in a bad mood on Monday if I come in on Monday and I got to talk about the Eagles being in the Super Bowl. Because then you have to deal with their fan base for another couple of weeks, and they will be absolutely intolerable, incorrigible. 888-546-4620. Bills fans are not. I know of a lot of Bills fans, they're not like, oh my God, these people are just completely obnoxious.
They're just passionate.
They're very passionate. They've been through a lot. They've never won a Super Bowl. They're dying for one. They love their team. And I've just heard from so many Bills fans this week. It's crazy. Heard from Bills fans today. By the way, a Bills fan friend of mine, she is in her Super Bowl. I guess she plays like playoff fantasy football. Good for her. So she's in her Super Bowl, and she told me today the commissioner of this said football league is a huge fan of yours truly in this show, and he lives up in Indianapolis.
Must be streaming on the free iHeartRadio app.
He is. Brian Coleman up in Indianapolis is a huge fan of the show, so I just want to give him a shout out. There's so many people that listen to this program from outside of the Tampa Bay area, and that's awesome. Craig from Vegas, by the way, I think his dad was sick because his mom messaged me on Instagram. So, Fred, I hope, Fred, you're feeling better from yours truly, your pal here in Tampa, TKras. I hope the Kurtzman family is A-okay with Fred kind of being laid up there for a while. Let's take your phone calls. Jim is in Tampa. You want to talk Buccaneer football? Fire them cannons. Jim.
Hey, TKras, can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yep. I got you.
Okay. Anyway, the move by the Glazers was huge to keep Liam. You're going to lose 3 coaches if you lost Liam. You would lose your OC, your passing game coordinator, and your O-line coach. I don't think that Bowles wanted to go out and search for 3 coaches in the offseason, and I know that Bowles was probably heavily involved in keeping Liam here. He knows the offense is huge, and he needs to get the defense back. So for all these people that are trying to bring up that there's a wink, wink, nod, nod, no. But he likes the organization, and he stayed with a well-run organization, and he's betting on himself that either he takes over for the Bucs when Bowles retires, or he can get a great job like Ben Johnson. And, and it's a great move for the Glazers to keep this thing intact.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the way it should be. And there's not any conspiracy theories against Bowles or anything like that. Todd Bowles has the respect of the players, and Liam is not going to break his word after he's given his word to the Glazers, and he's not going to take another job. And Spytek isn't going to go try to poach Liam after he worked for him for 10 years. So it's just a great day for the Bucs, and Liam staying here for at least a year or two. That's all I want to say. Thanks, guys.
It sure is. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it. And look, I do not rule out the possibility, and maybe this is already taking place, that Brady placed the call to Liam Cohen. Hey, I know you got a new contract coming up. Have you signed it? Are they giving you more money? Because I want you to be our guy out here in Sin City with John Spytek, a guy that you know. Again, connect the dots, guys. People that people know. It's not what you know, it's who you know. Connections. If you work with someone before, you want to work with them again, you connect the dots. This happens all the time in the NFL and other walks of life as well. But it would not surprise me to see or hear about the Raiders in a last-ditch attempt to try and pry Liam away from here. And I don't think that is going to happen. And again, not that Liam Cohen would ever listen to me, because who the hell am I? But if I were to consult or give him some advice, I would say stay away from the Raiders. That's a dead-end job. Look at that division. Really? What kind of success do you think you will have? That team lacks confidence. It lacks overall structure. It lacks a quarterback. It lacks talent on the offensive side. Their best player on the defensive side may not be completely happy with what's happening there. That's a dead-end situation. And it's a bad owner with a terrible haircut. Let's go to Charlie in Tampa. Charlie, what's going on?
TKras, how are you? CM Punk, how are you?
Great.
Gentlemen. So, Tommy, I got a question for you, and then I have a quick discussion on Baker Mayfield. So my question is, Dre Greenlaw is looking at the top 100 free agents. He's coming off that injury in last year's Super Bowl. He only played 34 snaps, but he's a stud linebacker. He's not under contract anymore. What about going after a guy like Greenlaw? Do you think we have the wherewithal financially to do so and for him to actually maybe replace Levante David? I don't like the idea of re-signing a 34-year-old and tying up resources in him. Even though he had a good year in tackling, his year in pass coverage was atrocious. So what do you think about Dre Greenlaw? And then after that, I'll hang up and you'll be able to discuss this. What does Baker Mayfield, what does it look like next year of him improving outside of the turnovers, which is a big part of it? Include that, but talk about something else as well. Like, how does he improve? He had an incredible year, stats-wise, top 7 quarterback in the league. Like, how does Baker Mayfield take that next step? So those 2 questions, Dre Greenlaw and Baker Mayfield. Have a wonderful day. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, you do as well, Charlie. I appreciate it. All right, Dre Greenlaw first. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to be signing any free agent linebackers until they know what's happening with Levante. If Levante David decides he doesn't want to come back or retire, I think he plays for the Bucs or he retires. I don't think he goes anywhere else. I don't think he wants to go anywhere else. He's a Buccaneer through and through. He's a Buck for life. Maybe has he lost a step in coverage? Probably yes. The answer is yes. He's 34. By the way, happy birthday. Levante David turned 35 today, Chris Mathis. So, hey.
Hey, happy birthday, Levante.
Happy birthday, Levante. Big fan of the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can say that.
Yes, we did say that, Levante. Happy birthday, buddy. He's 35 today. And look, when you're 35, when you're playing in sports, that's considered past your prime. And look, he's not the same player he was 4 or 5 years ago, but he's still an effective player. More importantly, what Levante brings to this team in terms of intangibles cannot be discounted. It's invaluable, by the way. He's a leader. He's a fiery leader. He's extremely smart. He's the guy on that side of the ball. So I like Dre Greenlaw. He's a really good player, but I don't think the Buccaneers will be fishing for free agent linebackers until they find out what's happening with Levante first. Let's go to Pat in Clearwater. Pat, what's going on, buddy?
I'm just frustrated with these phantom unsportsmanlike penalties. I don't know what they got to do, but they better get it right this weekend because, you know what, it's getting to be you can't trust the refs, to get an honest call.
Well,
and I'd like to see it reviewed or something,
Well, look, I think a lot of people, and thanks for the phone call, Pat, a lot of people, including myself, by the way, will be watching that game very closely and how it's officiated because of this controversy over the last few weeks. There's no doubt. And those officials had better be on their best behavior. By the way, Charlie, to your second point about Baker, how could he improve? He does take some risks from time to time. And look, that was year one of the Liam Cohen offense, and you saw how great Baker was. I think as he gets more comfortable in year two, the run game works off the pass game and vice versa, depending upon the opponent, situational football, yada, yada, yada. But I think in year two, I think you'll see better play, smarter play out of Baker. You don't want to completely tell him not to do what he does best, which is tuck the ball away and get out and run and scramble and make big plays and get the team fired up. I want to see him slide feet first. I want to see him get out of bounds. I want to see more self-preservation out of him. I think that's the one thing he could work on. There'll be some mistakes from time to time, but man, oh man, more often than not, he is a lightning rod, and he makes big plays with his arm. He makes big plays with his legs too, and you don't want him to stop being him. But I just want him to be smarter in terms of some situations, like if you're in the red zone, don't force balls in. He did that a couple of times this year. Sometimes getting a field goal is better than getting zero and throwing an interception down there in the red zone. And just the self-preservation part about him just not taking a lot of hits, if that makes sense. More of your calls and texts coming up. Mike Florio at 4 o'clock. On the way back, a little bit of baseball news for the Rays, a trade and a deal on one of their own. We'll discuss a contract for next year at $2.45 million. That's an option. The Rays option, by the way. So there you have it. And the Rays also made a trade for some slapdick pitcher, lefty Brandon Eisert.
Slapdick prospect?
Acquired from the Blue Jays for cash considerations. Well, like $5? I mean, who is this guy? See, that's why Eric Neander was blowing me off. He was sending $5 up to Toronto for some lefty that no one's ever heard of, you know? Jeez.
Even though you everything we do.
Not everything, Kevin Cash. Mike Florio coming up. Let's get to Mike in L.A. Mike, what's going on out there?
Hey, Tommy, I was going to talk about something else, but I love it when you talk about the Rays. I'm really becoming a fan of the Rays, and most of that's because of you.
Me?
And I appreciate that. Yeah, just listening. Since I've been listening to you this last 6 months, you've turned me on to the Rays more than I ever was before, so I appreciate that, Tom.
Oh, well, you're welcome, and I'm sure the Rays will appreciate that, too.
I also, since you were discussing that, oh, by the way, you're bi-coastal now, brother, because I've been telling my friends here in L.A. about you, so I got a couple of them listening to you now. You may get a few more calls from out here, which would be cool.
Oh.
But,
by the way, I really appreciate that, and my heart and prayers go out to you and everyone else out there with the wildfires. I mean, that's just, it's been heartbreaking, so prayers up to you guys.
It's good. Thanks, fella. Thanks, brother. Now it's kicked back up again. It's got to end soon, I hope. Yeah, it brings me to tears. The Dodgers now, I mean, there's got to be an investigation. I know we're playing within the rules, but my God, Tom, we're $100 million over the luxury tax now, $400 million with the signing of Tanner Scott and Kirby Yates. I mean, how long are they going to let the Dodgers get away with this? It's crazy.
There are no rules, Mike. That's the issue there, and I'm up against the break, and I appreciate it very much. Mike out in L.A. It's not the team, it's the system. There is no system. It's the wild, wild west. I mean, you can do whatever you want. And the Dodgers payroll pushing $400 million, they don't care. They got the money. They'll buy anyone and everyone. They'll defer a lot of the money, which they have in a lot of these contracts, in order to try to avoid paying a bigger luxury tax tag. But they can buy and get anyone they want. I mean, teams like the Rays and to a lesser extent the A's, who don't even have a home, like the Rays, they're playing in a minor league ballpark. They're just going to be the Athletics. There is no Oakland. There is no Sacramento. They're playing in Sacramento. There's no affiliation with them. They're not from any particular area. They're just the Athletics. Although they've spent some money this year on a couple of pitchers in free agency, including Luis Severino, which I thought was a little interesting considering they're playing in a minor league facility. So the owner leaves Oakland. He's hoping for that monstrosity to get built out in Vegas. And in the interim, he starts spending money. Oh, my goodness. The people in Oakland have to be pulling their hair out. All right, 1 hour down, 3 more hours to go. Coming up, back to the NFL. Liam Cohen, we think he's staying. Does he have that contract signed, sealed, and delivered? And if not, could the Raiders come calling? What about the other head coaching news from around the NFL? What about Championship Sunday? A lot of topics. We'll dive into it with our good buddy Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com. He will join me coming up next.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
I want to kick back a little bit later on this evening and maybe have a little Chattanooga whiskey perhaps. And if you're looking for a new bourbon to try out in the new year, you guys know I'm big into bourbon. Chattanooga whiskey hits the spot. I love them. I've got the Chattanooga whiskey 91 in my arsenal, as well as the 111. The 91, a little bit lighter, 91 proof. It's a Tennessee high malt version of what they do. It is outstanding. It's made from 4 grains, including 3 select specialty malts. The 111 is a heavier, full body type of bourbon. The 91, you can mix and make old fashions with the 91. It's outstanding. The 111, you don't do that with because it's a 111 proof. It's outstanding on its own with a little bit of ice, so you have it neat with a cigar, which is what I like to do. It's a beautiful thing. It's made in Chattanooga, Tennessee, from roasted and toasted grains. Chattanooga whiskey is the dark chocolate versus everything other bourbon's milk chocolate. It's the best sipping whiskey from the state of Tennessee. It is awesome. So ask for it today at your local bars or retailers. Drink Chattanooga whiskey, and as always, enjoy responsibly. Cheers.
W Pinellas Park, WRUB HD3 Clearwater, and the mighty AM 620 WDAE St. Petersburg, an iHeart radio station. It's Thursday from Wesley Chapel to Fishhawk and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeartRadio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up, because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Fans are going wild, and I'm so excited. I don't even want to talk. I want to watch the match. He's going up. Hulk Hogan, he drops a big leg on him. He's down for the cover. Hook the leg. 1, 2. He got
him. 41 years ago today, January 23rd, 1984, the birthplace of Hulkamania, as Hulk Hogan defeats the late, great Iron Sheik in front of a capacity crowd at Madison Square Garden. Can't believe it. 41 years ago. That's when I really started getting into wrestling, growing up as a kid in New York City. And the roar of the crowd that night inside MSG was something to behold, man. Welcome back. Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. 4:05 on your ride home. The Drive with yours truly, Tom Krasnicki, presented by Moss Nissan. Chris Mathis on the other side. More of your calls and texts coming up. My next guest will certainly appreciate that reference because he's with us on the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DA hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org. From NBC Sunday Night Football, ProFootballTalk.com, being escorted towards the ring by classy Freddie Blassie, who was dressed up as the Iron Sheik that night when the Iron Sheik lost his belt to Hulk Hogan. He's Mike Florio. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? Good to talk to you. That's great. That's a great little nugget. The Iron Sheik was awesome. And I remember that the Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan were mortal enemies in the ring at one point. Remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan? The guy who carried around the 2x4. And then I remember reading at some point, and I don't want to defame Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who I assume is still with us, but I think I remember reading that the two of them were busted smoking pot in a car together. So it was good to see they mended their fences.
You are right.
Found a way. Marijuana brings everyone together.
If you say so. Now, they were busted along the shoulder of the New Jersey Turnpike. And yes, they were smoking pot together. And I remember as a kid reading that story, I'm like, how is this possible? These two guys hate each other.
They hate each other.
How's that possible? So as a kid, you know, that infiltrates your mind. It's like, okay, wait a minute. Maybe we're getting duped here. But I knew that you would like that reference, Mike. That's why we decided to play it for you. All right, let's talk some football. We'll get into the championship Sunday matchups in a matter of moments. But the big story around these parts, Liam Cohen, the Buccaneer hotshot offensive coordinator, he was the object of desire from Jacksonville and maybe the Raiders. We'll discuss that too. But the Bucs decided to step up. He's getting a new contract. He's getting a raise. They're keeping him. Just give me your thoughts on what you know about it.
Well, look, the first thought that I had, because I know that they would very much like to keep him. Baker Mayfield told me that after the Week 17 win, I believe, over the Panthers, that he really hopes he stays. But obviously, players want what's best for coaches, and this game entails moving from team to team in order to get a better opportunity. Now, there had been some thought, and this is more speculation, but it's based on the quirky, maybe that's not the right word, history of ownership, where we've seen sudden changes that surprised people. We saw John Gruden out in a flash, replaced, I think, as soon as the next day by Raheem Morris in early 2009. We saw Greg Schiano, the Rutgers coach, pop up out of nowhere after Raheem Morris was fired. We saw Lovie Smith get nudged out at a time when Dirk Cutter, the offensive coordinator, was getting a lot of play. And some still think to this day that it was a little bit of an inside job, not that Dirk Cutter initiated it, but the idea was we want to keep Cutter, who might go, so let's move on and let's move out. Then what happened more recently than that? Oh, Bruce Arians, how could I forget? Yep. Bruce Arians, quote-unquote, retires, wink, wink, in March after Tom Brady unretires. So there's the capacity there. The rubber band has been stretched for some kooky outcomes. And some people were thinking, well, maybe if this thing falters down the stretch for the Bucs and they don't make it to the playoffs, Bowles will be out and Cohen will be promoted, problem solved. Now, when I saw yesterday that Cohen withdrew his name and signed a new contract, it made me think of the news from several years ago out of New England when Gerard Mayo was getting some sniffs to be a head coach elsewhere. And what happened? New contract. And what they didn't tell us at the time, that contract included a commitment that he'd be the successor to Bill Belichick, which is a way to legitimately circumvent the Rooney Rule. Your deal is already done. It's happened multiple times in the past. And I thought yesterday, man, I wonder if lurking in that contract is a similar commitment that Cohen takes over for Bowles whenever Bowles is no longer the head coach. And we don't know when that would be because obviously we don't know how long he's going to coach and we don't know whether he'd be pushed or whether he'd walk. But Cohen stays until then, and at that time he takes over. So that was my first thought. He's going to be the successor at some point to Todd Bowles. Then when Trent Baalke, the GM of the Jaguars, is abruptly released from his job 2.5 weeks into their search, it does in theory put Cohen back in play if Baalke was the impediment to Cohen wanting the job. So that's kind of where I am. Could Cohen be back in the mix for Jacksonville, or is that door shut? And if he's staying with the Bucs, will we find out at some point down the road, after next year, the year after, the year after that, Liam Cohen is the successor to Todd Bowles? So that's my somewhat in a nutshell, pretty big nut, but somewhat in a nutshell reaction to what went down yesterday.
Now, from our understanding, there is no coach-in-waiting stipulations in Liam's contract. I think the Jacksonville door is shut. What I want to ask you about was the Raiders because, you know, your good buddy, Mr. Double Standard himself, Mr. Conflict of Interest, Tom Brady, is pulling the strings out there. He just hired John Spytek, the Buccaneer assistant GM, to be his general manager. And now there's some talk that maybe they could gear up for maybe a last-ditch effort to try and get Liam Cohen out there. And you know, every game that Brady did here, Mike, he always was seen talking to Liam Cohen, and Liam Cohen loves him, idolizes him, grew up a Patriots fan. Everyone knows that. But do you see that potentially happening?
Hey, until these seats are filled, you know, it goes from being this carousel of interviews and possibilities, and we have 2+ weeks of what's going to happen, where's it going to happen. Then it becomes a two-way game of musical chairs because the seats are filling up for the candidates who are interested, and the candidates are being gobbled up by the teams that are hiring. So time becomes of the essence, and you never know how it's going to play out. And a lot of people thought that Tom Brady really wanted Ben Johnson to become the next coach of the Raiders. He goes to the Bears, obviously, a better spot just from the standpoint of quarterback and overall infrastructure of a football team. The Raiders are in a tough spot. I don't know how attractive that job is, no matter how involved Tom Brady is going to be, because you need better players. You need a quarterback. This isn't a great year to go get a rookie quarterback based upon the quality of the rookie class, et cetera, et cetera. So it's still in theory possible. It's just sit back and enjoy the ride and wait and see how it goes. As each one of these dominoes fall, you have jobs that are still open. And until they are all filled, in theory, Cohen could emerge because no matter what's in the contract, they can't stop him from going to take a head coaching job somewhere else if he chooses to go.
Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, NBC Sunday Night Football in America. All of his books, except the Playmakers novel, got it right this time, 99 cents on ebooks through Amazon. So we're talking NFL with him. Look, I think that's a dead-end job, Mike. You know, you go into that division, and if I were advising Liam Cohen, I would tell him to stay away. I think he'll have other opportunities, maybe the one right here in Tampa Bay, because you go into that division, you got Mahomes and Andy Reid, you got Jim Harbaugh and Herbert, you got Sean Payton and Bo Nix. I mean, come on, you're fighting an uphill battle there, aren't you?
Yeah, you've got 3 playoff teams. You've got 3 teams that all seem to be on the upswing. They've all got their quarterbacks, and here you are with the Raiders. You got Brock Bowers and you got Max Crosby, but how long is it going to take you to turn it around, and how much patience are they going to have as you try to do it? Because at some point, even if it's not the coach's fault, at some point they have to throw their hands in the air and make a change. That's the challenge moving forward for anyone that takes that Raiders job. And it just feels like one of those jobs that they're going to hire somebody who, number one, doesn't have an option anywhere else, and number two, is willing to stake his first shot at a head coaching job on what might be a 2 or a 3 year tenure, and then he's right back where he was before he took that job.
How surprised were you to see the Commanders go into Detroit and put 45 on the Lions and end their season?
Yeah, that was a stunner. I thought the path to victory for the Commanders would be keep it close, shorten the game, have long drives like the 17-play, 92-yard drive that we saw against the Bucs, and just try to take it late because they have a knack for winning games late. To go out there and just shift into overdrive, force the Lions into some mistakes, and take control of it, it really makes the Commanders a dangerous team this weekend. They are playing with house money, but, one of the things I said earlier today, these teams that we've seen in the past, when they get into the first couple rounds of the playoffs and they're like, hey, just freewheeling, we're not supposed to be here, let's go play, that's fine. But then when you get to the brink of the Super Bowl, you're like, uh-oh, we've climbed pretty high on this ladder. Don't look down. And you feel the pressure of that moment and what the magnitude of the game is and what it means if you win. Now, as young quarterbacks go, there seems to be none better equipped than Jaden Daniels to just scoff at that and keep going. So that makes for, I think, a potentially fascinating game this weekend, a rubber match between the Eagles and the Commanders. And Jaden Daniels, if they lose that game, I've said this every round of the playoffs, and I haven't had the guts to pick them to win, but I picked them to cover. They're not going to lose because of Jaden Daniels.
100%. And I think he is unflappable. I've never seen a rookie quarterback unlike this one with the poise and composure that he has. He doesn't make mistakes. Nothing seems to faze him. When the game is on the line, he plays his best. And look, I think the Eagles are in for a fight. I'm going to ask you more about that in a matter of moments. But first on the Lions, they lose both coordinators. Ben Johnson goes to the Bears, across the street, by the way, and Aaron Glenn goes to the Jets. Which is the better hire at this point?
Well, the Bears have the pieces in place to contend. And one of the things Ben Johnson has said, and it was either yesterday during his press conference, we had a nice long interview with him today. You can find it on our YouTube page, NFL on NBC, 17 minutes or so. But he doesn't shy away from the challenge of staying in the division. And he believes that the Bears were the biggest challenge in the division going into the season to the Lions. It didn't work out for a variety of reasons, but he loves the quarterback. And Chicago is just a great football city. We were there 2019 for the first game of the regular season, the 100th anniversary of the NFL, Packers-Bears to start the season. They took a break from the usual Super Bowl champion hosts the game. And I'm walking around Chicago, and I'm like, this is like New York and Pittsburgh had a kid. Like, it's a big city, but it oozes football. And those fans deserve so much better than they've gotten. They filled the stadium the night after Christmas for a team that was done, had no shot, and the Seahawks were coming in. It wasn't like it was a nationally sexy team. They filled that place up. So, as he called it, it's a sleeping giant, and I understand why, and I think that's probably the better spot. With the Jets, one of the issues I have with Jets fans, and I know they've been waiting a long time too. At least they have a Super Bowl in the case. It's got a lot of grime and dust on it. But whoever takes that job, they never get a low bar. There's never an acknowledgement that, we've stunk for a long time. Let's not expect this guy to turn us into a contender right away. They immediately expect things to turn around, and maybe Aaron Glenn's the guy to do it. Maybe we're going to find out that the brain drain the Lions are currently experiencing is going to affect them, because you just don't snap your fingers and replace Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn. I would assume Dan Campbell and the rest of the organization, with the benefit of a year to plan for this, have a plan for what's going to happen next. But you don't just automatically land on your feet when you have that many key members of your staff walk out the door.
No, they're going to take a step back. There's no question about it. Mike Florio's with us, ProFootballTalk.com and NBC Sunday Night Football in America. So the two big games on Sunday, you just touched on one of them. I think the Commanders are going to give the Eagles all they can handle. Mike, does Philadelphia and that passing game, will they do enough to scare this Commanders defense to avoid them from stacking the box on Sunday? Because that's going to be one thing I'm watching for.
Well, I think what the Commanders need to do on defense is all they can to contain Saquon Barkley. hold him closer to 100 than 200, and force Jalen Hurts to show that his left knee is healthy. Remember, that was the knee that everybody knew was injured last year, but it never showed up on the injury report. He seemed to be laboring when he'd run the ball. He injured it late in the win over the Rams. They're not going to tell us the whole truth and nothing but the truth about the status of the knee. So we'll just find out. I also will keep an eye very carefully on the spread. It went from 4.5 to 6 as the non-sharps bet it that way. When we get closer to game time, if the big money from the sharps comes in and moves the line toward the Commanders, and the line moved toward the Commanders on Saturday by way of example, that's when you start to think, oh, okay, maybe Hurts is a little more banged up than they would ever admit. Can he manage the passing game? Can he get away from the rush? And if I'm the Commanders, I am not going to let Saquon Barkley have a big day. And he had close to 150 in each of the two games. I think he had exactly 150 in one of them where the Eagles won one and the Commanders won one. You just got to keep him from being the one to beat you. You know, they chip and chip and chip and hit a home run. Chip and chip and chip and hit a home run. You got to eliminate the home runs. And if you can turn it into a chip and chip and chip game, then the Commanders can keep it close and the Commanders can take it. And I think they will.
I think they will too. I'm on their bandwagon. Obviously, we saw them here 2 weeks ago when the Bucs played them, and the Bucs made a couple of mistakes offensively that they don't normally make, and the Commanders and Jaden Daniels took advantage of it. But what they did to the Lions, Mike, and you know this too from as many years as you've been covering this game, sometimes it's not the best team, it's the hot team. And this team is dangerous, and that quarterback is very dangerous too.
Yeah, the Commanders are the hottest team now. The Eagles are the best on paper, but they're gaining more and more confidence with each passing week. You can't call Jaden Daniels a rookie anymore after 17 regular season games and 2 playoff games. He's good to go, and there have been 5 prior rookies who started a conference championship game. None have won. He's got the best chance of any I've seen to go in there and take it. And you can say, oh, it's going to be tough. It's difficult. It's on the road. They were just at Ford frickin' Field.
Right.
They know loud. They know intense. They know what they're walking into. And they just have a calm that comes through every word they say. Jaden Daniels after the game, the way he speaks about how they got there, nothing rattles this kid. And this is why all the work that you do prior to the draft, it cannot prepare you to properly predict what a guy becomes when you take him from playing among the best of the best college players right now and thrusting him into a situation where he's facing the best of the best that the NFL has to offer over a 10-year period of all the different guys, the absolute best you're going to see. How's he going to do in that setting physically, and how's he going to do mentally? And that's what you don't know until you get there, and that's why I'm a believer in Jaden Daniels, and they got like $100 million to spend in the offseason, and they're only going to get better. And he already might be. Chris Sims made this point earlier today, and I hadn't thought of it. He might already be the best quarterback in the entire NFC.
I think I would agree with that assessment. I know there's Baker certainly had a great year, and Stafford, but you know this kid has got it. Whatever it is, he's got it. And you made a great point because a guy on a rookie contract, I mean, they got all this cap space. They could go out and get another receiver, some O-line help perhaps, some help on defense. I mean, that team is only scratching the surface of what they can be. All right, I know you got to run in a bit, but Kansas City, Buffalo, Josh Allen against Patrick Mahomes. I mean, this is a big legacy game for Josh Allen. He's 0-3 in the playoffs against Mahomes. Mike, I think they're going to go into Arrowhead and win this game. It's not going to be easy because not only are you facing Mahomes and this whole three-peat quest that the Chiefs are on, but you know as well as I do, like the officiating. That's going to be a real big storyline, isn't it?
Well, yes, and let me just start by saying I do not believe that the NFL rigs games. I do not believe the NFL scripts games. I don't believe that the NFL is competent enough to do something like that and keep everyone who would know about it quiet. Okay, having said that, I think the NFL in recent years has blurred the line between football business and football integrity. Troy Vincent, for example, Executive VP of Football Operations, was on ESPN during the 2022 season defending the hair trigger roughing the passer calls that were being made and criticized at the time by saying, hey, look, The most popular shows on TV are NFL football. And you need quarterbacks to keep those games popular. So we have to keep our quarterbacks healthy. And that mindset, the best quarterbacks need to be available. The Chiefs are a great drawing card. That trickles into the subconscious of the people who are making decisions in a split second. As the synapse fires in their brain and the message goes down to their hand, do I throw a flag? Do I not throw a flag? And it's all happening in real time, blink of an eye. And does that create a bias, a subconscious bias for the officials? I think it could. And that's what you're playing against when you are the Buffalo Bills or anyone facing the Chiefs in the postseason. Now, the Chiefs this year have become the team that, okay, you won that drive, you won that down, you scored that touchdown, whatever. But when the game's on the line, they know how to make it work. The difference is the one time they weren't able to do it in the past year, plus since Christmas Day of 2023, they've lost one game they were trying to win against the Bills in Buffalo. And it's 4th and 2 from the Kansas City 26, and the Bills could have kicked the field goal and given the Chiefs a chance to win the game with a touchdown. They said, screw that. We're going to make it happen. What's Josh Allen do? He runs in a 26-yard touchdown and puts the dagger in the Chiefs. The Bills have shown that they can rise to the occasion. They did it against the Ravens, who are a better team, but it doesn't matter because the Bills won the big moments. There's 4, 5, maybe 6 moments in a game. You win those, you win the game. So which team is going to do it on Sunday? That's what's fascinating about it. And, hey, until somebody does it to Patrick Mahomes, who isn't Tom Brady or Joe Burrow, because those are the only two guys. Think about this. Patrick Mahomes has been the starter since 2018. His worst outcome has been losing in the AFC Championship game in overtime. Once to Brady, once to Burrow. He's 3-0 against Allen. And I think all that stuff comes to a head when you're talking about the one shot you have per year to change the narrative. It gets harder and harder. That's why I think at the end of the day, even though the Bills might be hotter right now, might be better right now, and the Chiefs have some wounds and they're flawed, I think at the end of the day, it's going to be that one extra play in that one key moment that's going to deliver a win for the Kansas City Chiefs.
And you know the Chiefs are not going to beat themselves, so Buffalo's going to have to go in there. They can't turn the ball over. They're going to have to outplay them if they're going to win. I think they can do it. I'm going to pick them to win, but I certainly understand anybody not wanting to bet against Patrick Mahomes. All right, he's Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com, NBC Sports as well, and you can grab all of his books except for Playmakers for 99 cents on ebooks through Amazon. Mike, happy Hulkamania Day, brother. Thanks for joining us.
All right, man. Thanks, buddy.
You got it. Have a good one. That's Mike Florio. What you gonna do when the liberals run wild on you? 888-546-4620. And that's the thing in that Bills-Chiefs game. I can't wait. I can't wait until toe meets leather. Even though I'm not calling the game, me and Gene, the talking machine, I'm back for another year of Buccaneer football. But if you're going to go into Arrowhead and beat the Chiefs, and, you know, the officials too, and I agree with Mike, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think the NFL is rigged, but you have to find it interesting, if not coincidental, that the Chiefs get the benefit of calls and non-calls. But if you're Josh Allen, man, you haven't beat Mahomes. You've beaten him in the regular season. You beat him this year. But in the playoffs, you're 0-3 against them. This is like a legacy game for Josh Allen on Sunday. I think it's his time. But if you're going to beat Mahomes and company at their place, you can't turn it over because you know the Chiefs are not going to beat themselves. 888-546-4620. Your thoughts on that? Let it ride coming up in an hour. So many great prop bets for Championship Sunday. We're going to get into that as well. And when we come back, some breaking developments. You know, the Buccaneers might be able to keep Liam Cohen, but other coaches are leaving and going to one team that's poaching the Bucs right now. Breaking news from the NFL. We'll have that for you next year on The Drive.
You're tuned in to The Drive with TKras.
It is The Drive presented by my guys over at Moss Nissan, where their goal is to never lose your business over price. TKras here. Chris Mathis here as well for our guys over at Moss Nissan. big news. Tomorrow, Football Friday, originating from Moss Nissan in Newport Richey, US 19 at State Road 54. They're right there. You can't miss it. We'll be there broadcasting live for a Football Friday from 3 until 7. We can hardly wait. And if you're looking for a new or pre-owned vehicle, I can't wait to get there tomorrow, see my peeps over at Moss Nissan. You got holiday hangovers, credit card debt have you down? No problem. They've got the cure, Chris Mathis.
That they do, TKras. No money down at Moss Nissan, plus no payments are due until the spring.
And you'll get Moss Care with every purchase. I've got that on my Nissan. I bought my last 2 Nissans at Moss Nissan. That's how much I love Nissans. That's how much I love Moss Nissan. And I am a very happy and satisfied customer. And you will be too.
You'll get all this while selecting from the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay.
You got that right. They've got 3 convenient locations: Tampa, Newport Richey. We'll see you there tomorrow. And they're also up in Brooksville. Convenient location right off the Suncoast Parkway, or online at mossnissan.com. That's mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.
WDAE
traffic update.
This report is sponsored by Stand Up to Cancer.
Serious crash in Largo blocks lanes on east to westbound Walsingham near 137th Street. Also southbound 75 in Hillsborough County. It's jammed up from south of 60 in Brandon to Gibsonton Drive. Only the right lane is getting by in this area. It's all due to construction. And we're seeing delays north and southbound Dale Mabry near Kennedy. Get traffic info around the clock by searching News Radio WFLA on iHeartRadio. I'm Randy Myers.
Joe Buck and John Smoltz welcoming you back to the City Center Convenience Mart.
Uh-oh.
She's looking at the cigarettes, but she just grabs the gum off the counter. Stand Up to Cancer and Rally want you to reduce your risk for cancer. Go to takeahealthystand.org.
Listening on the free iHeartRadio app? Thanks to Farah and Farah, it's never been easier to send your opinions directly to your favorite show. When you open the app, click the red talkback microphone and hit send. Farah and Farah, here to make it easy, Tampa.
The Monster Energy AMA Supercross Championship races into Tampa Bay.
Here we go!
Witness intense competition as the world's elite riders battle for the coveted title of Supercross Champion. Tickets on sale now. Coming to Raymond James Stadium February 8th. Visit supercrosslive.com.
Since 1985, Bates Electric has proudly served as Tampa's premier electrical contractor. As a veteran-owned and operated company, we bring a commitment to excellence in both commercial and residential projects. Our 24/7 Gold service is Tampa's most recommended electric contractor. Our dedicated electricians prioritize quality workmanship and unparalleled client communication, ensuring your project is on time and completed to perfection. See why our clients rave about Bates Electric.
Power on, Bates Electric. Power on.
Accomplishing goals is hard, but when your goal is to learn a new language, Babbel makes it easy. Babbel is designed with you in mind. From expert-created lessons to conversational video units and even live classes, you can personalize your Babbel experience to be exactly what you need to really learn a new language more easily. Go ahead, set a goal for yourself. Accomplish it with Babbel. Try Babbel for free. Go to BABBEL.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hey, it's Bobby Bones. Join me and former NFL quarterback Matt Castle for our new podcast, Lots to Say with Bobby Bones and Matt Castle. Between us, we have over 17,500 passing yards, multiple New York Times bestsellers, and 1 Mirrorball trophy from Dancing with the Stars. So where else are you going to find a show with that much athleticism and football insight? Listen to Lots to Say with Bobby Bones and Matt Castle on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart.
Open your free iHeart app and search Lots to Say with Bobby Bones and Matt Castle and start listening.
Hey guys, TKras here for Catania and Catania. If you or someone you love has been injured in an accident, protect your rights. Do what I did. Call Catania and Catania, the personal injury law firm located right here in Tampa Bay. They work on a contingency, which means there's no cost to you unless they win. So give them a call. 813-222-8545. That's 813-222-8545, or online at CataniaCatania.com to get that free evaluation of your case. Catania and Catania, they put families first. Office Tampa, not attorney spokesman.
Ahoy there, mateys. Join us for Seminole Hard Rock Gasparilla Pirate Fest, Saturday, January 25th. Kick off the morning at the Gasparilla Invasion Brunch at the Tampa Convention Center at 10 a.m. The Gasparilla Invasion, presented by Mystic Crew of Gasparilla, set sail at 11:30 a.m. Then the Parade of the Pirates marches down Bayshore starting at 2. For official merchandise and reserve tickets, visit Gasparilla.treasures.com. Sponsored in part by Seminole Hard Rock Tampa, Michelob Ultra, Astro Tequila, Captain Morgan, iHeartRadio, and Mystic Crew of Gasparilla.
Hey, Mom, I've been meaning to talk to you about some new COVID information I saw online.
Uh-huh.
I read that black folks like us with certain conditions like diabetes, heart disease, mental health conditions, or being 50 and older, like you, are at high risk.
Boy, you sound like a commercial.
I'm just saying. I know you love your ginger teas and essential oils, but remember, there are treatment options for COVID-19.
I promise if I get sick again, I'll call my doctor to ask about my options.
Visit WeTalkWeRise.com to learn more. Brought to you by Pfizer.
Hey, you guys, I'm Catherine Legg. I'm a racing driver who's literally driven everything with four wheels across the planet. And I've got a new podcast. It's called Throttle Therapy. This season, I'm gearing up to make history, competing in some of the world's most notorious racing events. Listen to Throttle Therapy with Catherine Legg on America's #1 podcast network, iHeart. Open your free iHeart app and search Throttle Therapy with Catherine Legg and start listening.
Presented by Elf Beauty, founding partner of iHeart Women's Sports.
The new iHeart app.
Yeah, I've been playing around with it.
Love my radio, love my presets.
Thank you.
This is really easy to use.
Join the millions already on the new and improved iHeartRadio app and set your first preset. Plus, discover the new live radio dial, scan, lyrics, podcasts, playlists.
Is The Drive with TKras, courtesy of Moss Nissan on WDAE.
I'm not thinking about that right now. Again, we're having exit interviews. We're fresh off the loss. As the days come, we'll go from there. We went to the playoffs 5 times with the defensive coaches we have. So they're very good coaches, obviously. A lot of things have to happen in that. We got to get more interceptions. We got to coach it better, but we got to play it better as well.
Yeah, there it is. We got to coach it better. We got to coach it better. We got to play it better. But that was Todd Bowles when he was asked about his coaching staff once the season ended. That was a season-ending press conference. I was there. Now, as we welcome you back, by the way, it's The Drive, 437 on your ride home. Now we got some breaking developments out of the NFL. It appears there's one team out there that's poaching coaches from the Buccaneers staff. No, Liam Cohen is fine for now, although you just heard Mike Florio was like, hey, don't be surprised if the Jaguars make another run or the Raiders, because, yes, the Buccaneers are giving him a new contract and more money, but the lure of being an NFL head coach is still out there. And I found it interesting that the Jaguars gave Trent Baalke third prize after Liam Cohen decided to withdraw his name from consideration. I thought that was kind of odd. But Liam Cohen knows that this is the right place for him. He's getting more money. And I told Mike, Jacksonville's not in play. I'm just telling you right now. It's not. And now there's a report that Tony Boselli, the Hall of Famer, is involved now in the Jaguars head coaching search for whatever that's worth. So they haven't been able to attract any top coaching candidates. They've interviewed a number of people. Joe Brady's a guy that maybe they'll call back for an interview. Robert Saleh, Kellen Moore. I think those 3 guys are the leading contenders. I know Patrick Graham is in there too. I'll say this, but here's the news anyway. So the Lions, they lost Aaron Glenn, defensive coordinator, former Jet. He's now the head coach of the New York Jets. And actually, for once, I think the Jets have made a really good move. I think he'll do a good job there. He's paid his dues. He's ready to be a coach. He's a great communicator. He's got a lot of passion for the game, a lot of enthusiasm. Learned under Bill Parcells as a coach player and then played for Bill in Dallas as well. Learned under Sean Payton too. So I think Aaron Glenn has got the chops to be a good head coach. So congrats to him. And he's got his hands full as well, trying to turn that mess around. Ben Johnson, as you know, went to Chicago. So the Lions need some assistant coaches. Guess where they're coming to get two of them? Right here. According to reports, Dan Campbell is poaching the Buccaneers defensive coaching staff. Casey Rogers is leaving the Buccaneers to become their defensive line coach. And there is word that Larry Foote, the linebackers coach, is in line to be the next defensive coordinator of the Detroit Lions. So Casey Rogers and Larry Foote looks like Rogers definitely gone, and looks like Foote is in the process of leaving as well and going out there too and becoming the Lions defensive coordinator. So, he's right. I'll say this, and look, this is, get ready because you're going to play the insult one right here. I'm okay with it. With all due respect to Casey Rogers and to Larry Foote, the defense was the big problem. So I'm okay with it. What?
You insulted him a little
You
bit.
got another opportunity? Then go take your opportunity. You know what? I think it fits well. You go into the Lions. Their defense just got lit up for 45 points.
No. You insulted him a little bit.
Oh, come on. Oh.
Man, you got the double whammy right there, Tom.
It's a double whammy.
Boom and the bang.
Look, but it's a better situation for them. And Larry Foote, I know, is a good dude. I know somebody who knows him pretty well. He's a good guy. Casey Rogers been around for a couple of years. But considering the problems on defense, okay, take care. That's it. So I don't think it's a big loss, to be quite honest with you. I think change needs to happen, by the way, on that side of the ball. Now, Todd Bowles, you're not changing him. Now, with all these changes, because Casey Rogers was the co-defensive coordinator, and on occasion, Todd Bowles would let him call plays like during preseason games or whatever. But when the regular season comes around, that's Todd's baby. So Todd Bowles will continue to call plays, especially now that he's losing Larry Foote and Casey Rogers. Bowles is not giving that up. He's not. But he does need help in terms of the other things he needs to pay attention to, especially when it comes to the game day operations part of the job, i.e. time management, use of timeouts. Now, there's a guy who apparently helps him out with that sort of thing. That guy should be fired, by the way. If we're going to have coaches walk out, everybody can walk out except Liam Cohen. And the guy who helps him with the time management, get out. Get somebody else in there. Jeez. And look, assistant coaches work hard. They got a better opportunity. That's great. And good luck to them in Detroit. Loudmouth Todd is up in Land O'Lakes. Todd, what's going on?
Hi. What are your thoughts on Cliff Kingsbury being the next coach for the Raiders once the off season's done?
Kingsbury, well, he was a one-time teammate of Tom Brady. So what you're looking for, Todd, is you're looking for a connection to somebody on the staff, the general manager, the coach, or a part owner in this case. So I probably wouldn't rule that out. I mean, that probably could happen. I think the Raiders are going to have a tough time finding somebody, honestly.
Got a question for you. Seeing that we have the connection now, or VP GM is in Vegas, at all costs, if we know that we're just a game changer away, do you think that Jason Light would exhaust all resources to try to go after Max Crosby, especially if the Raiders go into total rebuild mode? That'd be a great coup for us.
It would be a great coup, and I thank you for the phone call, Todd. I would love Max Crosby here. I mean, he's a tremendous player. He's overcome a lot personally, but he plays the run. Great pass rusher, energetic dude. Guys gravitate towards him. You know, he's got leadership qualities. I mean, yeah, on paper, I would love it. I think that would be an incredible move if the Buccaneers could pull that off. I don't know how likely it is. I know Max Crosby has stated that he wants to sit down with Raiders management. I'm sure Tom Brady will be a big part of that conversation. He wants to know the direction of the franchise. Well, you've got a new GM. You got a part owner who's calling the shots. Let's be quite honest. They got to hire a coach. They need a quarterback. They pick sixth. They're not going to get Cam Ward or Shedeur Sanders unless they trade up. So who do you get if you're the Raiders? You trade down and maybe a Jalen Milroe or somebody like that? Riley Leonard, Kyle McCord. I mean, the quarterback class is not all that great, honestly. I think Cam Ward is probably physically better than Shedeur Sanders. I think Sanders probably is a little more accurate. He's got the genes, obviously. But I don't look at any of those guys as being transformational type of players. So, look, if Max Crosby wants out, then absolutely Jason Light, like he did a few years ago when he was shopping around for a pass rusher and he was calling all around the league. And then he called the Giants. He's like, hey, I'm looking for pass rush help. And the Giants were like, well, this is your lucky day, Junior, because Jason Pierre-Paul does not fit what we're doing on defense anymore. You want him. Jason Light was like, yes, third-round pick, sold. And JPP was a big part of the Buccaneers winning that Super Bowl. And Jason Light got him for a third-round pick. I'll tell you this, you're not getting Max Crosby for a third-round pick. It's going to cost you at least a 1, perhaps more. A 1 and a 3. That sounds about right. You ain't getting that guy for cheap. That's the other thing that fans need to understand. All right, more of your calls and texts are on the way. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. Your calls, your texts. We also have Let It Ride. Championship Sunday, some player props. We'll take a good look at that coming up in a matter of moments. Also on the way back, Mark Andrews speaks for the first time since maybe the worst game of his NFL career. What did he say? Details coming up next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
It is 2025. Ladies and gentlemen, you might want to kick off the new year by impressing her, meaning your better half, with a timeless diamond from our friends Steve and Julie Weintraub over at the Gold and Diamond Source. And look, if you're ready to pop the big question, you can find the perfect engagement ring at the Gold and Diamond Source. Chris Mathis did. He got his engagement ring. He got engaged over the holidays to his lovely fiancée, Lily. And when she saw it, she's like, I can't believe it. You read my mind. This is an awesome ring. I say yes, yes. So they're happy. You could be happy as well. Just get to the Gold and Diamond Source. You can also make her January birthday unforgettable, or your second or sixth wedding anniversaries something never to forget, with up to 15% off the January birthstone, which happens to be garnet. And while you're there, discover Emilique. That's the wonderful jewelry collection created by Emily Johnson Weintraub, who's an awesome person, by the way. A sleek and modern jewelry line that makes everyday gifts extraordinary. And guys, you can turn old, unused gold into cold, hard cash or a stunning new piece. With gold prices soaring, there's no better time to trade up than right now at the Gold and Diamond Source. So get on it. If 2025 is going to be the year you pop the big question, make sure you get to the Gold and Diamond Source and make sure it's a Gold and Diamond Source diamond. 3800 Omerton Road in Clearwater. Always online.
Are installed in just 6 to 8 weeks. Visit reesewindows.com.
Live across Tampa Bay, The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
And like I've been saying all season, every time we in situations like this, turnovers play a factor. Penalties play a factor. Tonight, the turnovers, you can't have that, you know? And that's why we lost the game, because as you can see, they're moving the ball wonderfully. Is hold on to the ball. Sorry for my language. Annoying.
Wow. That was Lamar Jackson. Obviously frustrated. One of the finalists, by the way, for MVP. That list was unveiled today. I think Lamar will win it for the third time, but I understand his frustration.
Take it easy when you talk to me.
Welcome back. It's The Drive, 4:54 on your ride home. And he's upset because he's heard the narrative about him failing in the playoffs, and that's going to continue into a very long offseason until OTAs, minicamp, and then training camp, and then the media. Hey, another year. Can you buck the trend? Is this the year you're finally going to get that King Kong off your back? So he's going to be hearing it the entire offseason. Well, guess who should be hearing it more so than him? Mark Andrews. Because that's the guy, unfortunately, that failed Lamar Jackson last Sunday. A terrible fumble in the fourth quarter in Bills territory, and then the Jackie Smith moment. Now, Mark Andrews is going to remember not just this offseason, but for the rest of his life. The dropped 2-point conversion that would have tied the game with just over a minute and a half left. And look, Mark Andrews is a good guy, hell of a player. And look, he's human. And the reason why he didn't talk to the media after the game, he was probably distraught. He was probably devastated because he felt like he not only let himself down, he let his team down. He let Lamar Jackson down. He let the whole organization down. The fan base. Remember what we said last week? The loser of that Baltimore-Buffalo game was going to be crushed. Guess what? The Ravens are crushed. Lamar is crushed. And Mark Andrews is beyond devastated. So today, Mark Andrews broke his silence, and he decided to do it on Instagram. He says, "It's impossible to adequately express how I feel. I'm absolutely gutted by what happened on Sunday. I'm devastated for my teammates, my coaches, and the Ravens fans. I pour every ounce of my being into playing at the highest level possible because I love my team and the game of football like nothing else. That is why it's taken me until now to collect my thoughts and address this publicly. Even though the shock and disappointment are unlike anything I've felt before, I have refused to let the situation define me. I promise that this adversity will only make me stronger and fuel us as we move forward. I thank everyone who has shown me and our team genuine support these past several days. Despite the negativity, I've seen heartfelt love and encouragement, including from those who have generously donated to the Breakthrough T1D Foundation. That is for type 1 diabetes. That's something Mark Andrews is passionate about. By the way, and this is why you got to love Bills fans. Bills Mafia went out there and they donated more than $50,000 to Mark Andrews' cause. That's incredible. So Mark Andrews says in closing, even when the moment seems darkest, perspective can reveal that there's still a lot of light in the world. I'm going to do my part to bounce back and contribute to it. Absolutely gutted was the key phrase by what happened. Look, I feel for him. He's going to be thinking about that. He's not going to sleep much. He probably didn't sleep at all on Sunday night or Monday or Tuesday. And it's going to follow him for the rest of his career. So I kind of feel for him. And look, I've seen both sides of the argument. Well, why didn't he talk to the media after the game? And I understand certainly where he's coming from. He was probably too distraught. He couldn't figure out the words to articulate how he was feeling. I mean, it was the lowest feeling probably of his life. Professional life, certainly. And I don't know what else has gone on in Mark Andrews' life, but, you know, that's Baker's guy, by the way. From Oklahoma, that's Baker's guy. I'm sure Baker's probably reached out to him and consoled him a little bit. But he's a
They're
heck of
probably, going through this together, Tom.
Yeah, they're very close. So I have no doubt that Baker Mayfield has absolutely reached out to him and say, hey, man, keep your head up. You're a great player. And Baker can draw from his own experiences. The heartache of being the number one pick and the Browns showing him the door, ditching him, kicking him to the curb for Deshaun Watson, and then him going to Carolina, and then that didn't work out. He got cut midseason, went to the Rams for a couple of games, had one great game. And look, he was on his fourth team in a year, so nobody knows that better than Baker. Hearing negativity from idiots like me, and I am an idiot for doubting Baker. I'm an idiot. And I've apologized 1,000 times over. And there's one more apology left to be made, and that's to Baker himself. And the wheels are in motion, hopefully, for that to happen. And he can come on the show, and he can absolutely drill me. Just let me have it, because I deserve it. Come on, please, Baker, please. Like that Seinfeld episode where, Kramer punched Mickey Mantle in the, the old time, the whatchamacallit, that game that he was playing in, the Legends game or fantasy camp. He was at the fantasy camp, and Kramer punches Mickey Mantle. And Kramer felt so awful about it. He goes into Mickey Mantle's restaurant. He gets on his knees. Please, Mickey, please, just hit me, Mickey. And then they picked him up and they threw him out of the restaurant and into a horse. Maybe that's where what it's going to take. Baker can pick me up and throw me into a horse. Kind of like Kramer. All right, 2 hours are in the books. Coming up, Liam Cohen. Contract signed, sealed, and delivered. We know he stiff-armed Jacksonville, but could there be another team out there waiting? Last-ditch effort? That plus the Buccaneer coaching staff getting raided. Who's doing the raiding? Who's pilfering our staff?
because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Yeah, he was, first of all, he was just really personable and really cared about us as individuals. And then just the detail and passion he brought every single day to our offense was just something really cool to be a part of. And I think you saw it come to life throughout the season. And so just really fun to play for him.
Bucs tight end Kadon had high praise for his offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen, one of the hottest head coaching candidates. The Buccaneers saw an opportunity to step up, give him more money, keep him here. We think after Jacksonville wooed him, could there be another team out there who might try and do the same? Good afternoon, Tampa Bay. Welcome back. 5:08 on your ride home. The Drive with yours truly, presented by Moss Nissan. On this murky, cold, and miserable day throughout Tampa Bay. I was just looking outside. It's terrible out. It's been awful out this entire week. It's been a very cold month of January, and I don't mind the cooler weather. We saw a lot of snow, obviously, the last 48 hours or so up in the Panhandle along the I-10 corridor. They closed I-10 for several hours last night, a 200-mile stretch because of ice. Absolutely wild.
And Tom, right here in Tampa Bay, it's been below 50 degrees for 49-plus straight hours, man.
Wow.
Over 2 days. It's getting cold.
Now, there were some people last night. I went to my sister's house after I got out of here. I did my TV gig, and then my sister lives close by. And usually I walk to her house. I didn't walk last night because it was in the 30s.
You got in that Moss Nissan vehicle, right? You turned on the heated seat, didn't you?
You got that right. The heated seat for a very short ride. So I parked the car and I just stood outside before I went up to her front door, and I'm looking out and I'm like, this is how I felt in New York at night, where the clouds are darkening and they're sinking, and it felt like it was about to snow, honestly. And it was that cold out. And there were some people like in Lakeland who took video and they thought it was snowing last night. And it wasn't. You know, the atmosphere high up, it was too warm to produce snow. So it was more like, you know, a rain or like a mist that was coming down. It was not snow, but some people from around our listening area thought there was actually some snow flurries falling last night. It felt cold enough for snow, but we didn't get any. They got some up in the Panhandle, but boy, oh boy, it's been a wild, wild week of weather here in the Tampa Bay area and, of course, for the state of Florida. Now, on to the Buccaneers, because things are happening. So we told you yesterday that Liam Cohen was scheduled to interview with Jacksonville. The Buccaneers stepped up and they put a stop to it. They're like, look, we want you here. Here's a new contract. We'll give you more money. There are no written stipulations about him being the man in waiting or the commander-in-chief waiting for a lot of different reasons, and the Rooney Rule is certainly one of them. So maybe there is a wink, wink, nod, nod at some point down the road. Is it possible that he could succeed Todd Bowles? The answer is yes. In my opinion, yes. It's possible. But right now, he's the offensive coordinator, one of the highest paid coordinators now, more than $4 million a year, to keep him away from Jacksonville. And then Jacksonville, 10 minutes after they found out that Liam Cohen turned them down, another viable head coaching candidate turned them down because of their hideous general manager that nobody wanted to work with. Guess what? They fired Trent Baalke. And then there was some talk that maybe Jacksonville, after they fired Baalke, would try again to lure Liam Cohen. Now, I don't think that's going to happen. We had Mike Florio on in the last hour. He had a very interesting take on Jacksonville maybe pursuing Liam Cohen again. In case you missed it, we had a great conversation in the last hour and included, by the way, some old-time wrestling talk, too, to open the interview. We're going to run that back coming up just after 6 o'clock. For those of you who are at work, you missed it at 6:05. Yours truly with Mike Florio. A great football conversation on that, on Liam Cohen, Championship Sunday, and everything else in between. I don't think Jacksonville is in the picture any longer. I think they have pivoted. I think the one team you got to look out for now is the Raiders. Now, I don't think this is likely, but an article in The Athletic this morning, I think, suggested, I think that's the word that I'm going to use, suggested that perhaps Tom Brady, former Buccaneer, along with former Buccaneer assistant GM, now the GM with the Raiders, John Spytek, would perhaps make a run at Liam Cohen. And I'll just read you the little excerpt from the article I read this morning in The Athletic. The hiring committee for the Raiders will consist of Mark Davis, bad haircut, Tom Brady, Mr. Conflict of Interest, John Spytek, and a couple of minority owners that I'm not going to bore you with their names. Doesn't matter. And then it goes on to say, John Spytek has familiarity with the Buccaneers and their offensive coordinator, Liam Cohen. But Cohen signed an extension with Tampa Bay and withdrew himself from consideration for the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching vacancy on Wednesday. The Raiders could make a run at Cohen anyway, but that feels unlikely. Could make a run. Now, Tom Brady is very fond of Liam Cohen, and as you guys know, if you've read all the stories, you know where Liam Cohen is from. He's from Massachusetts, huge Patriots fan growing up, enormous Tom Brady fan growing up, idolized the guy. And every game that Tom Brady covered as a member of Fox, he was seen in long talks with Liam Cohen. Now, I don't think he went up to Liam Cohen saying, hey, man, after the season, I'm pulling the strings now. I'm running the Raiders because Mark Davis is over at Great Clips getting another haircut. I'm running the Raiders, and we may have an opportunity. Would that be of interest to you? I'm not sure Brady pushed that along to Liam Cohen, but they've had a couple of different conversations on the field and games that Brady worked involving the Bucs. So those two guys have talked quite a bit. Would it surprise me if Tom Brady placed a phone call to Liam Cohen? No, it would not. I'm talking about this week involving the Raiders head coaching vacancy. Now, they probably already have had that conversation, and Liam Cohen probably relayed it to him like, hey, Tom, I really appreciate it. Thanks for thinking of me. And while working for you would be the dream of a lifetime for me, I think I have a good thing going here in Tampa Bay. I think I'm going to stick it out here. Ownership stepped up. They took care of me. They gave me more money. I've got a contract. I love Baker. I love this offense. And Baker loves him too, by the way. And for the first time in a while, Baker Mayfield's getting stability at the offensive coordinator position. Now, we had Alex Van Pelt for 2 straight years in Cleveland. But Baker has had 7 offensive coordinators in the 7 years that he's been in the league, which is crazy to me. He's never had stability. He's never had any sort of continuity. Well, now he's got it, at least for one more year, and hopefully for more than that. And if you're the Bucs and you're watching what Liam Cohen did in 1 year, top 5 in every statistical category. Baker Mayfield had the year of his life under Liam Cohen. Doesn't that make you wonder, if you're the Buccaneers, what this could look like next year, the year after, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 7 years from now? Because Baker Mayfield now is your franchise quarterback. And if you're the Bucs, if you're Jason Light, if you're the owners, you have to start pondering that one thought in your mind. We have something special brewing offensively. It's an offensive league, and we are right there. The Buccaneers are now in the conversation with some of the best offenses in the NFL. They're right there. When you think of offense, you're going to think, what? Lions were very good. Ravens were very good. Bills were very good. Buccaneers are right there. The Bucs are in the conversation. They're a top 5 offense. And in order for you to continue this trend, I think it would behoove the organization to try and keep Liam Cohen around for as long as possible in whatever capacity. Right now, it's offensive coordinator with a ton of money attached to it to try and keep the vultures away, i.e. Jaguars and Raiders. Those are the vultures circling around. There's another vulture I'm going to tell you about in a matter of moments. It's the Lions.
Say that again.
Yes, Jason Light. But if you're the Buccaneers, you got to think, okay, in 1 year, this is what Liam Cohen did. This is what Baker Mayfield did. What if we ran this back in 2025, 26, 27, 28? But the only way you're going to do that is if Liam Cohen, offensive coordinator now, wink, wink, nod, nod, and at some point down the line, there's a promotion from OC to HC. You have to start thinking about that if you're the Glazers. You have to start thinking about that if you're Jason Light, if you haven't thought about it already. Now, I haven't talked to Jason Light about this, but he's a smart man, and I guarantee you he's thinking about it. It's in the back of his mind. This is speculation, okay? I'm not telling you guys that I've talked to Jason Light and he told me, yeah, I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about keeping Liam Cohen around. And we're not going to lose this guy. OC, HC, he's staying. I got a feeling that that thought has crossed his mind. And it's probably crossed the Glazers' mind. And it might be crossing the mind of one Todd Bowles, who's now in his 60s. Now he knows Liam Cohen, signed contract, more money. You know, he sees the writing on the wall. Todd Bowles is not a dumb guy. He sees it. He understands that at some point, like if he doesn't cure up or shore up his deficiencies on game day when it comes to knowing when to use timeouts, when to go for and fourth down. I mean, watch Dan Quinn this weekend. Did you see him last weekend? Dan Quinn, a defensive guy, turned the tables on Mr. Fourth Down, Mr. Going For It, and Dan Campbell. And he gave him a taste of his own medicine. Now, it helps when you have a guy like Jaden Daniels as your quarterback, but you get the idea. You'd like to see a little bit more oomph out of Todd Bowles because he does show that aggression when it comes to play calling, when it comes to blitzing. Todd Bowles is one of the more aggressive defensive play callers in the NFL when it comes to blitzing. He needs to take that energy he uses for his defensive play calling and channel that into head coach Todd Bowles, not defensive coordinator Todd Bowles. 4th down and 2, I got one of the best offenses in football. I'm going for it, baby. Try and stop us. I understand if you have, a pea shooter offense, but listen, those guys don't work here anymore. Mike Glennon doesn't work here anymore. Josh McCown doesn't work here anymore. That's gone. Those days are gone. Give me a break. This is the new age Buccaneers. They're putting up 30 points per game like nothing, baby, nothing. And if you're Todd Bowles, maybe this will inspire you or motivate you because even though it's not in writing, your vice president is being groomed to be the president. And I think Todd understands that. He should. And this offseason, he needs to do a self-evaluation of what he's doing on game day. If whomever is consulting him about the timeouts, listen, that guy needs to go. He needs to find somebody else. He needs help on game day with timeouts, when to call them, when not to call them. He's got to be in communication with his other guys. His other coaches have to give him a hand on replays. Hey, listen, I think he was out of bounds. I think we should challenge that. I think he was in bounds. We need to challenge that. I think his knee was down. I don't think he fumbled. We need to challenge that. So that is the part of Todd Bowles' game that he needs to improve significantly on. Because if he doesn't and the Buccaneers stumble and we see a replay in 2025, hey, great offense, but you know what? It wasn't enough. They lost 34-30 because the defense couldn't stop anybody. That really shouldn't be the case in 2025 because I think Jason Light will go out this offseason. And a lot of you are, you're probably not realistic on offseason needs. You need to be more realistic, more grounded, more reasonable on what you're looking for this offseason. The Bucs are not going to go on a free agent spending spree for Khalil Mack or Dre Greenlaw or this guy or that guy. You need to temper your expectations. I'm just telling you guys that right now. Because what Jason Light's going to do, he's got more than 20 free agents. He'll bring back some of them, and some of them he's going to say, adios, amigos. Vamos. And he's going to concentrate on the draft, where, I don't know if you've noticed, they didn't go up there and tell you, he's hit it out of the park the last couple of years in the draft. And he's going to focus on the defensive side, whether it's edge rusher, corner, linebacker, maybe another safety. He'll make those necessary additions. 888-546-4620. Text at 82945. So a lot to talk about on this cold, blustery, miserable day here in Tampa Bay. Warm yourself up. Sit down. And if you're in your car driving home, I hope you're as lucky as I am. You got the heated seat feature that I have in my Nissan. Heat that bad boy up. Leave it on 95.3 FM or AM 620 or the iHeartRadio app, new and improved. Put us through your Bluetooth and listen to us for your ride home. We'll keep you entertained and informed. All right, 1 week, come back on the other side. Your calls, your texts, Championship Sunday coming up. Listen, I need to make some dough, just like anyone. I got some parlays I'm going to be doing on the Hard Rock Bet app with some player props. We've got some interesting player props, plus the 2 games on Championship Sunday. We'll discuss that. A little let it ride action coming up next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
It is The Drive, and ladies and gentlemen, we're live inside the Rude Air and Water Studios. If you're watching us on the stream, there it is over my left shoulder. These guys are awesome. Air and water are 2 things a certified Rude Pro partner knows an awful lot about. You know you can rely on Rude to keep your indoor air comfortable, whether it's AC or heat. But now you know you can rely on Rude to make sure your hot water's flowing whenever you need it. Especially when it's this cold outside, you can't have your hot water heater going out. And if it does, don't worry, don't panic. Get with my guys over at Rude and Ferguson HVAC. Rude Water Heating is the industry leader for total water heating solutions. If you need conventional tank-type water heaters, they've got it. Tankless water heaters, that's what I've got, by the way. They've got that, too. Replacement parts and accessories, check and check for all categories. Rude is your one-stop solutions provider. And with the exclusive backing of my guys over at Ferguson HVAC, guess what? Your certified Rude Pro partners get the very best products and parts when you need it. Rude water heaters, engineered tough and built to last. So for AC and water heating solutions, get on it. Connect with a certified Rude Pro partner. If your hot water is running out, if your heat is not working, get with my guys. Go here. Rude, acflorida.com. That's Rude, R-U-U-D, Rude, acflorida.com. Tell them TKras sent you.
splish the pot whenever the heck I please.
Good luck, sir. Yeah, give me 5 times a piece on St. Louis, Minnesota, and Baltimore.
Let it ride on 13.
Yeah. How the hell could you grin? Yeah. Give yourself a smack. Smack right across the mouth. Come on, give me another marker. All right, here we go. It is time. It is time for Let It Ride, where, for entertainment purposes only, we put some action on some of the games that are coming up. In this case, Championship Sunday. Let It Ride, presented by my guy, Dr. Jim DeRespino, the great people over at the Center for Men's Health. Hit him up, c4mh.com. In fact, I was just there yesterday. And here is the pit boss, our guy, Chris Mathis.
All right, plenty of player prop bets for you all today. The best news is you can actually play these lines via the Hard Rock Bet app. These are all pulled from the app. Commanders take on the Eagles this weekend. The over-under is 47.5 points. The Eagles 6-point favorites on Sunday.
I'm guessing under. I think the Eagles defense is pretty good. I don't anticipate the Commandos putting up 45 points again like they did last week. I was just talking to Nick Wise. He just came storming in here. He's like, why are you taking our coaches? I'm like, what? Oh, he's talking about Aaron Glenn going to the Jets. I'm like, listen, Aaron Glenn's a Jet. He's not a Lion, okay? He's a Jet. And then I'm like, well, you took a couple of the Bucs coaches. I'm like,
fair trade, right?
Yeah, they're going to fit right in. And you just gave up 45 points, and the Bucs defense wasn't all that great.
Oh, man,
come on,
Tom.
Why am I doing that to people?
No. You insulted him a little bit.
So, anyway, getting back to this, I think it's under 47. Got to find out what the weather looks like this weekend in Philadelphia because it was snowing last week. And I just don't think the Eagles are going to put up a big offensive number because right now they're a one-dimensional team. And now that dimension is as good as anybody does it. I mean, they're running the ball better than anybody in the NFL. There's no doubt. As I pointed out last week, Saquon Barkley's 2 long touchdowns last week was because one of the reasons, not, obviously the Eagles blocked it up well, but number 3, the Rams safety Cameron Curl took 2 incredibly bad angles and missed both tackles, and Barkley ended up taking it to the house. So I think Dan Quinn will have his team more disciplined. Listen, I think the Commanders are a really dangerous matchup. They beat the Eagles last month, 36-33. As long as Barkley doesn't go for 200, I'm going to give the Commanders more than a puncher's chance. I'll take the Commandos +6 and the under.
Well, we'll talk about Saquon Barkley's line here in just a few moments, but Jaden Daniels over under 222.5 passing yards on Sunday.
I think it's going to be close. Eagles defense is very good. Their young secondary, they did give up a couple of big plays in the passing game to Matthew Stafford last week. I'm going to say under. Slightly under, not a whole lot under. I think he goes for over 200, but not quite to that number. I think he'll make some plays with his legs, especially with Sam Cosmi, his really good offensive guard who's out of this game with a knee injury. So I think he might be running around a little bit more than he wants to.
Now, Jalen Hurts, quarterback for the Eagles, he is a little bit banged up. One might say he's playing hurt. Jalen Hurts playing hurt. Over under 181.5 passing yards.
It's under. Look, their passing game stinks right now, and A.J. Brown has been a non-factor. He's one of the really good, impactful receivers in the game, and he's been rendered useless to the point where he's on the sidelines reading books. Now, Saquon Barkley's doing all the heavy lifting, but I don't think, and Julian Edelman said this earlier when he was on with the Herd, and I agree with him. I don't think you could just be a pure running team and win the Super Bowl. You've got to be able to make plays in the passing game if you're the Eagles. And I don't think they could do that right now. I'm going under on the passing yards prop for Jalen Hurts.
All right. How about Terry McLaurin over under 64.5 receiving yards, 5.5 catches?
Over on the receiving yards, for sure. 5.5 catches. I think he's in that 4, 5, 6 range. So I don't feel quite as confident with the catches. I think he makes a couple of big plays down the field. So I'm going to go over 64.5 on Terry McLaurin. I think he's got the advantage. Quinyon Mitchell is very good. He's had a really good rookie season, but He is a rookie. It's the NFC Championship game. Terry McLaurin is on a heater right now. I'm going over.
All right. A.J. Brown, 59.5 receiving yards, 4.5 catches for A.J. Brown.
Under and under. Did you not just listen to what I was saying?
Oh, yeah. No, I did.
And look, the Commandos won't let A.J. Brown get off. So I'm going under and under for A.J. Brown.
All right, let's move on into the rushing attack here for that game. We got the Commanders and the Eagles. Saquon Barkley over under 129.5 rushing yards on Sunday. 129.5.
That's a big number, dude. And look, he's had no problem eclipsing it. He had over 200 last week against the Rams. I think he gets fed a lot. He had 150. He had 2 pretty good games against the Commandos. I think he's over 100. I don't think he gets 130. So I could see 110, 115, 120. So I'm going under on that number. I don't feel great about it, though, because right now he's about as hot as anybody.
We'll continue here with Jaden Daniels, 54.5 rushing yards for the rookie quarterback.
I think that goes over. I think this is the game where the loss of Nakobe Dean is going to hurt the second level of the Eagles defense. Jaden Daniels is going to be one of the fastest players on the field, and when he breaks contain and gets out and runs, there's not going to be many guys who can catch him. So I think he does a lot of damage with his legs this weekend. I'm going over on his rushing yards prop.
All right, 5 more props, about 4 minutes to do so. Bills at Chiefs, over under 47.5 points.
Over. I'm going over. I think both teams put up really good points. I think both teams are safely into the 20s. I think one team scores 30+.
How about Pat Mahomes, 254.5 yards through the air?
I think he will be under that number, slightly under. It won't be too much under. I don't see Patrick Mahomes throwing for 300 yards against the Bills. I think the way to beat the Bills' defense is you have to run the football. And again, weather is going to be a factor in Arrowhead. We don't know what that looks like yet. But I'm thinking if Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to win this, I don't think he's going to throw for 300+. It's probably going to be under 254 passing yards in that game.
Josh Allen, his line is set at 229.5 passing yards for Sunday.
Now, Josh had 128 last week. So I think if you're going to beat the Chiefs, he's going to rely on a lot of different guys. By the way, forecast for Sunday at Arrowhead, 34 degrees. Now, they're playing at night. 6:30 kickoff time. It'll be in the 20s with a wind chill probably in the teens. So it's going to be bitterly cold. Look, both teams can play in it. You saw Josh Allen eats it up for lunch. The weather's not going to faze that guy, nor will Arrowhead. So I think Josh is probably going to be a little bit under the passing yards prop. He's got to throw for more than 128. I know that. But again, I don't think it's a real big number because I think he's going to do a lot of damage with his legs.
Travis Kelce, his line sits at 68.5 receiving yards, 6.5 catches, the over-under.
I think he goes over on the receiving yards. He had over 100 last week. Even though he doesn't run away from people, he's still extremely smart. He knows where to find the open spots in the zone. I think he goes over 68.5. He had 7 catches last week. I think he's in that 5 to 6 catch range. What is the over-under again?
6.5 for Kelce.
Under. I think it's 5 or 6 for about 80 for Travis Kelce.
And then we've got Khalil Shakir. Correct me if I'm saying that wrong.
Yeah, it's Khalil Shakir.
Okay, over under 54.5 receiving yards for the Bills receiver, 4.5 catches.
Over and over. I think Khalil Shakir is one of the X factors in this game because Trent McDuffie is probably going to follow Amari Cooper. So that means Khalil Shakir, Curtis Samuel, Dalton Kincaid. I think those other receiving options, I think Josh Allen will sprinkle the ball around. I think Khalil Shakir becomes a real big factor in this game. I would go over on the catches, over on the yards. I think he has a nice game.
All right, James Cook. Let's look in the backfield now. 54.5 rushing yards for James Cook.
He's got to have more than that. If the Bills are going to win this game, they're going to have to control the line of scrimmage. I think James Cook has more than 54.5 yards rushing. I think he becomes a big factor as well. Over.
You talked about Josh Allen and his ability to run the football and be dynamic there for the Bills offense. His over-under rushing yards, 48.5.
Over. That's over, Mathis. 48.5.
Hammer the over.
Hammer the over. Josh Allen has to get out and make plays, design runs. Also on scrambles, Josh Allen can get over that number. I expect him to have around 70 to 75 yards rushing, honestly, on Sunday night. I think he needs that part of his game. That's what makes him dangerous. I think Josh Allen is going to have quite a few rushing yards. I go over.
All right, Kareem Hunt, 33.5 rushing yards, and we'll call it quits after this.
33.5. I think I'll go under on that. I'll go under. I think Pacheco probably has more rushing yards. I think he's more of the physical type of runner. He's got more juice to the running game. I would go over on Pacheco, under on Kareem Hunt.
And there we go. Yeah, Kareem Hunt, 33.5. Pacheco, 31.5. And that is let it ride.
Yes. Yes on Pacheco. No on Kareem Hunt. This is a Pacheco game here on Sunday night.
Nice game, pretty boy.
Let it ride. Yeah. Look at this beaut they brought in. Yeah. Give yourself a smack. Smack right across the mouth. Come on, give me a marker. Let it ride, presented by my guys over at the Center for Men's Health. Hit them up, guys, C4MH.com. That's a great text on the Bartow 4 DA text platform. Over, under on A.J. Brown's pages read. 3.5. It better damn well be under 3.5. If that dude is reading a book on the sidelines of an AFC championship game, he should be banished to Bulgaria. Go try playing pro football out there, punk. It's the AFC championship game. And the NFC championship game. You're playing to get it to the Super Bowl. NFC championship game, A.J. Brown. There should not be a book on the sidelines. You should be truly engaged in what you are doing. 888-546-4620. All right, coming up, we're going to let you know what's on tonight, and I'm going to let you know, Chris Mathis, where you can find me tonight as well as the Bucs fans. Something really cool happening tonight. I'm going to let you know what's on tonight next.
You're locked in to The Drive with TKras.
It is a drive and is presented by our guys over at Moss Nissan, where their goal is to never lose your business over price. Chris Mathis alongside. He has seen the Moss Nissan effect as a newcomer. I've been a proud and satisfied customer of Moss Nissan for several years. I bought my last two vehicles from them, including my current Nissan with the heated seats and everything else. It's a beautiful thing, especially on a cold night like this. And right now, if you want to buy yourself a new or pre-owned vehicle, Moss Nissan is the place to go. Post-holidays, holiday hangovers, credit card debt has you down. No problem. Moss Nissan has the cure.
That they do. They'll sweeten things up with no money down right now. Plus, no payments are due until the spring.
That is a beautiful thing. You know what else is beautiful? Moss Care. You'll get that with every purchase. What is Moss Care? Unlimited lifetime oil changes and tire rotations for as long as you own the vehicle. It's a beautiful thing.
So you're going to get all of what we just mentioned and much more, including the largest Nissan inventory in Tampa Bay at Moss Nissan.
You got that right. And by the way, we will be at Moss Nissan, Newport Richie, US 19 at State Road 54. We're doing our Football Friday show tomorrow from Moss Nissan in Newport Richie. Come on down. More on this big show tomorrow coming up in just a little bit. But they've got 3 locations, Newport Richie, Tampa, also up in Brooksville, or hit them up online at mossnissan.com. That's mossnissan.com. Moss Nissan, whatever it takes.
Advisors. Visit TrajanWealth.com.
Now back to The Drive with TKras on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620. What's on tonight with The Drive with TKras?
Yes, sir. And here's our guy, the executive producer of this fine radio program, Chris Mathis.
All right, guys, let's get right into what is going to be on the tube tonight. You've got a little NBA action between two iconic teams, the Boston Celtics and LA Lakers. That tips off at 10 o'clock on TNT. More importantly, all right here on the free iHeartRadio app, if you listen to us daily, if you miss any part of this, like you're going to go take the kids to practice like our guy Barrett Salih was yesterday, or you're going to pick the kids up from practice, go grab dinner, you're busy, you're in and out of the car, download the free iHeartRadio app, search up The Drive, add this to your preset, add the obviously the station, WDAE, to the preset too, and make sure to hit follow as well. And then Tom, he's got something cooking up tonight as well. What do you got, Tom?
I do.
I can't hear a word you're saying.
Well, we're going to try and speak up. So tonight at 8 o'clock, Buccaneer fans, I'll be a guest on the Loose Cannons podcast with Sammer and all the boys there. You guys know them. If you're a big Bucs fan, you know how passionate they are. Super fans, if you will. Very knowledgeable guys, too. So I'll be on the Loose Cannons podcast tonight at 8 p.m. I'm looking forward to it. That should be a lot of fun. And there you have it. I wonder if Todd Bowles is going to be listening or watching. You know,
not at this time.
Not at this time. What about Jay Saleh,
I want one of those cigars.
Wow, look, you're going to get a cigar. You keep Liam. Hey, tell your boy Tom Brady not to try and poach him. And then maybe you'll get a cigar.
So what's the question?
The question here, Tommy boy, is why are you doing this, Mr. Double Standard, Mr. Conflict of Interest? Stop calling Liam Cohen. And, Lions, by the way, they're rating the Buccaneers coaching staff, too. Casey Rogers is headed there. And looks like Larry Foote is going to interview for their defensive coordinator position. It looks like he might be going there, too. According to Rick Stroud, the Buccaneers had offered both Rodgers and Foote contracts to return in 2025. Rodgers interviewed with the Lions and the Packers before going to Detroit.
I wonder if they're trying to jump ship before it's too late, if they were to can Todd Bowles after next year.
Nah, I don't think they're thinking about that, But if they're getting a promotion and more money, that's what it's about. Look, they're trying to advance themselves, and I have no problem with that whatsoever. And again, I don't mean to sound insensitive or insulting to those guys. Let them go. It's all right. You got another job? You got more money? That's fine. Go.
All right, big man. You want to make some big bucks. Let's see how tough you are.
Do you know anything about defense? Dígame. What, you kidding me, man, or what? It's okay. You did see the Bucs defense, right? And maybe the Lions want to pick up on the fact that they just gave up 45 points, so they're going in the right direction.
No.
What?
You insulted them a little bit.
All right, it was slightly insulting.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity for them. And obviously, Detroit, they need help after, Aaron Glenn no longer being there.
Well, Aaron Glenn's gone, so they have to rebuild that coaching staff. I think he's going to take a couple of guys with him to the Jets. And honestly, if you're Todd Bowles, I know Todd is close to these guys. I think change is good. The Bucs did better in the second half of the last 5 games to close out the regular season. They only allowed 9 points, but I think in totality, the defense was underwhelming, if not terrible, especially against the pass. And that's why edge rusher and corner have to be their 2 top priorities. Corner just as much as edge rusher, in my opinion. All right, 3 hours are in the books. Coming up, a lot happening with Liam Cohen. He spurned the Jaguars, but do we have to worry about Tommy Boy out in Sin City? And what about the narratives going into Sunday's championship games? We're down to 4 teams. Who you got? Plus, and I know he's going to appreciate this, today is a big day in the history of wrestling. We're going to bring that up as well with our guy, Mike Florio, ProFootballTalk.com and NBC Sports. He will join us coming up next here on The Drive.
We made your favorite.
Wait, what?
You could do that? Whatever you choose. Take a It's easier than ever to discover new stations you'll love.
Love the new look of the iHeartRadio app, guys.
It's everything you love about your car radio in the palm.
Bolts coverage. We are 95.3 W237CW Pinellas Park, WRUV HD3 Clearwater, and the mighty AM 620 WDAE St. Petersburg, an iHeart radio station. It's Thursday from Citrus Park to Bayonet Point and all around Tampa Bay, plus worldwide on iHeart Radio.
The gloves are off. I'm playing hardball. It's 4th and 15, and you're looking at a full court press.
You're tuned into the voice of the Tampa Bay sports fan.
You're going to like this guy. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us.
Buckle up. Because you're on the drive with TKras. Afternoons on 95.3 WDAE and AM 620.
Fans are going wild, and I'm so excited. I don't even want to talk. I want to watch the match. He's going up. Hulk Hogan, he drops a big leg on him. He's down for the cover of the leg. 1, 2. He's got
The late, great Gorilla Monsoon on the call. This is a big date in wrestling history. January 23rd, 1984. I can't believe it. 41 years ago today, Hulk Hogan beat the Iron Sheik to win the World Wrestling Federation Heavyweight Championship, and the birth of Hulkamania. Madison Square Garden went nuts. An incredible moment in wrestling history. Good evening, Tampa Bay. Welcome back. 6:05 on your ride home. The Drive with yours truly, Tom Krasnicki, presented by Moss Nissan. Great to have you with us. More of your calls and texts coming up, and my next guest will greatly appreciate that reference. He's on the Central Florida Behavioral Health Network DA hotline. Learn more at cfbhn.org, from profootballtalk.com, and from NBC Sunday Night Football in America. Mike Florio's back with us here. Mike, what's happening?
Hey, how's it going, buddy? Good. The Iron Sheik and Hacksaw Jim Duggan were mortal enemies in the ring at one point. Remember Hacksaw Jim Duggan?
I do.
The guy who carried around the 2x4. And then I remember reading at some point, and I don't want to defame Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who I assume is still with us, but I think I remember reading that the two of them were busted smoking pot in a car together. So it was good to see they mended their fences.
You are right.
Found a way. Marijuana brings everyone together.
If you say so. Now, they were